I didn't even queue up a couple other things going into this. This is freaking challenging, folks. I don't know how these others are doing it. To be frank, to be honest, I don't know. They must love to hear their voice or see their face. I am neither. However, that touches on something very, very important. That more of us that weren't necessarily made for this should be challenging ourselves to do just this. Wouldn't that, in fact, bring more unpurchasables? The people that won't fall prey to bribes, to actually shining the light on more so truthful information. Anyway, bear with me just one quick moment. I want to verify that the stream is in fact working as it should. We may be good. Okay, elevator music, you done did it. You did your job. Thank you. Let's not mess around. Welcome to a muzzled chat. I don't know if that welcome actually came through clear or not. I think I bumped my soundboard volumes. I wish it was more digitalized than analog. Well, I kind of prefer the analog, but with all the dials and such, it's easily bumped. So you'll just have to let me know, or I won't know, to basically the end of this and re-listening just to make sure things came through clear. Love y'all. Appreciate you. All your support. Thanks for showing up. This is just an open invitation. Please come learn with us. Once again, I'm not sitting here to preach and teach. I am here to learn alongside with you. So I invite and hope you invite all you feel like inviting into today's message. I don't know which one. This is what I didn't queue up. Sure, why not? We'll just let this kind of play in the background as I monologue here a little bit. In fact, I'm so over my face being on the screen. Let's just show this up. However, I believe even this image is deceitful. As though the devil is going to show up with red skin, clawed fingers, and horns on his face, even fangs. Get out of here. He's a deceiver. So I think more accurately, but unless he wore the label of devil, how are we really going to utilize this image to have the impact it needs to have? Doesn't that make sense? But I want to go through capturing some of God's gifts to us. And are we, in fact, through the deception of our lives, handing over these gifts to none other but the devil himself? I believe we will capture it in this episode today, the very reason why the world is the way it is in this very moment, and capture the very solution to all the issues we have been facing. So don't give away what God has given to you. God gave us. He has given you power, freedom, and authority in Christ. Have come up with 7 points, acknowledgments, if you will. I hope this helps us gain back what God has given to us all. Even in that acknowledgement and understanding, I believe will lead us to better stewardship of these gifts. And while going through these points, just ask yourself, have I been a good steward over this gift? I'm going to switch this up because that one doesn't have a very long play loop, and that will get annoying pretty quick. But one of the points, number one, from the beginning, Satan uses deception. In Genesis 3:13, Eve says, "The serpent beguiled me." Beguiled is to deceive by guile or charm. To deprive someone of something by guile or deceit. To cheat. To distract the intention off of. So to divert. The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Note this. The devil didn't take Adam and Eve's authority by force. He took it through deception. He whispered lies. And when they believed the lie, they surrendered what God had freely given them. There's a lot to unpack right there, a lot to absorb. But please breathe this in so we can be better stewards. I believe we're already beginning to hone in on the one and only solution there is, the one and only meaning to this life and purpose. So kind of my takeaway regarding that, Satan can't rob you outright. He waits for you to hand it over. Number 2, the devil's weapon is lies. That's his number one weapon in my eyes. Jesus says in John 8:44, he is, quote, "He is a liar." This is from Jesus. Are you thirsty? I'm always thirsty to hear from Jesus. So Jesus stated, he is a liar and the father of it. So what does this mean? That means every trap, every snare, every temptation begins with a lie. If he can get you to believe it, he can get you to live it. A lot to unpack there as well. So kind of the takeaway or lesson, if you will, when you accept the lie, you empower the liar. Folks, we can take this to every aspect in our lives. And the Bible, yes, is very political. That the politics of the world today has all the impact of our day to day. So we can take these lessons into every aspect to our lives here in this life. So number 3, guard the ground God gave you. Ephesians 4:27 commands us, quote, "Neither give place to the devil." That word, place, means territory, room, and authority. If you allow bitterness, fear, or compromise into your heart, you are giving the enemy a foothold. Takeaway: don't rent out space in your life to the enemy. Once again, to help discern good foe, bad foe, or whatever. There's a deceitful foe. And that's what I'm trying to hone in on. Spoiler, deception. Let's not fall prey to the deception. So we're not renting out. Not knowing that it is to our enemy. Number 4, the simplicity of Christ versus the subtlety of the enemy. This is a big one. Simplicity in Christ. Paul warns in 2 Corinthians 11:3, quote, "As the serpent beguiled Eve, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ." End quote. Christ's way is simple. Truth, light, freedom. The devil's way is subtle, but yet twists, causes confusion, ultimately bondage. We can see a lot of this playing out right before us. I can already see within myself for so many years I fell prey to so many of those snares and traps, divvying up my power, the gifts from God, my agency, through the deception. All our hearts, so through so much of our walk here, are in the right place. But through the deception, we're able to commit the biggest atrocities. That's where, folks, let's tap into this roadmap given to us. But let's stay on point. I get so easily distracted. Did I go away? No, I didn't cover, I believe, that note and kind of take away. The complication is the mask of deception. Truth is simple, even when it's costly. Are we able or willing to pay? Yes, of course we're able. Are we choosing to pay that price at any cost? But the truth is very simple. And I believe so much of the world around us, we're overly complicating it. The devil is overly complicating it. It is very simple. And we can gain that discernment once again through none other than the Holy Bible. Number 5, beware of empty deception. A lot of deception. Colossians 2:8 tells us, quote, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy or vain deceit. That word spoil means to plunder, robbed like a treasure chest. Don't let it rob you. Deception empties you of joy, drains your faith, and strips away your peace if you let it. The lesson here, guard your treasure. Truth is your inheritance. I'm grateful to even go through these notes. It's having a deeper impact on me. So please engage. Throw in the comments on this very episode your thoughts as we go through this. What additional ones do you see playing out biblically that should be added into here? Heck, I even invite you to come speak them if you feel up to it. Email muzzlechat@gmail.com. 6. I find a lot of importance in this. And I forget how many years now, but it's important. Staying sober is an important part of staying steadfast. 1 Peter 5:8-9, quote, be sober, be vigilant, resist him steadfast in faith, end quote. As it states in the Bible, the enemy roars like a lion, but remember, he is an imitator, not a real lion. The Lion of Judah, Christ himself, has already given us authority. All we have to do is resist and not retreat. Kind of lesson there, stand firm, and the liar loses power. I'm seeing too many of us give up ground to where the enemy is gaining power over us, mainly due to, we could say, a lot of triggering words, cowardice, lack of faith, so many things. But once again, I'm not pointing out the speck in anyone's eye when there's a plank of my own, because there's no other more guilty of all the things I'm saying than myself. I am that. But in airing this, absorbing this, acknowledging this is helping me transition more so out of that. So there's just solely opportunity, and I hope we absorb that. Number 7, the love of truth protects you. 2 Thessalonians 2:10 says, people perish because, quote, they receive not the love of the truth, end quote. Wow. It's not just knowing the truth, folks. It's loving truth. When you love truth more than comfort, more than compromise, more than fitting in, Deception cannot claim you. Takeaway. To love the truth is to love freedom. My friends, my brothers and sisters, God gave us power. God gave you power. Power beyond our understanding. And I believe that's tapping more so into the spiritual side of it. And we've been attacked on so many angles. I believe we've deteriorated as a people and moved so far away from that with all the deception and noise around us. God gave us freedom. Lots we could talk on there. But God gave us authority, most importantly, in Christ. The devil has no weapon greater than the lie. I pray that we cling to truth. If we refuse to give him place, if you love the word more than the world, then we all will walk in victory. Remember, you cannot be defeated unless you agree with the lie. Okay, that being said, wow. It's hard to go through my notes sometimes, and I'm a terrible reader, and I apologize for that. I appreciate you bearing with me because, frankly, I need to get better at it. Especially with my heart. I mean, I don't know where else could be more impactful. You could see with lies and deception, what greater weapon has been utilized in today's day and today's world today than the web, the internet, the social media platforms, controlled media outlets. I don't know any other greater place to show up to have more positive impact than right here. And if I could find somewhere where I just naturally am more effective than here, I'm running on that path. Until that day, I'm going to continue to trip up and fall right here, and I challenge more of us to do just that. So let's ask ourselves, yet again, have we been truly following the Bible's truths? Have we been living out on an individual level to an extent? We reflect these truths as a nation. Have we learned from the lessons given to us? Let's take a quick look around, shall we? We'll go over the things that are just the basics important to us. Schools, where are we at as a nation today? Health, wealth and opportunity, freedoms. Much of the basics, the very basics, we should be monitoring daily and demanding every day that it is not satisfactory. That's a bare minimum. If we honestly look within, have we been doing that? That's not me to judge. Okay, how are things looking with the education systems for our children? Our leaders are not just failing us. I believe they have become our enemy. My gosh, when you look at these charts, all the links are below, and there's a lot more that we could add into here. It's like, how many flashy titles do we need to actually absorb to see the writing on the wall? We as a people must organize like never before. Look at this. 12th grade math and reading scores in U.S. hits new low. September 9th, 2025. It's just report after report. I just became more and more disgusted. We've actually gotten away from educating, and it's more so indoctrination camps. When you really look at all the perversion and just sin that is wrapped up in our education systems today. And there's so many other things. Why are we not teaching about the principles of a nation and the Constitution and godly messages and so many things? True everlasting principles. Could it be that evil has infiltrated? This isn't organic. Anyway, I digress. Let's just continue. So it's not looking good in education. Let's just say that. How are things looking in our country regarding our health? Are we better off? Are we worse off? Let's just play the singular clip. She goes over enough of it. Let's hear it out.
74% of American adults now are overweight or obese. Close to 50% of children are overweight or obese. 120 years ago, when someone was obese, there were case reports written about it.
Yes.
Literally, there were people in the circus if you had obesity.
Sideshow fat. Yeah, it was so unusual.
It was so unusual. It is now 74% of our country. 77% of young adults are unfit to serve in the military because of these issues like obesity.
Wow.
Now let's talk about diabetes. 50%. A full 50% of American adults have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, which is a fundamental issue in how our cells... Half the country, Tucker, have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, and 30% of teens now have prediabetes. This was a condition that no pediatrician would have seen in their lifetime 50 years ago. 1% of Americans in 1950 had type 2 diabetes. We have 18% of teens with fatty liver disease, a disease that used to be in late stage alcoholics. Cancer rates are skyrocketing in the young. 74% of American.
Oh, that was it. She goes over a lot more, and there's a lot more information to absorb regarding how are we doing. Not good. In fact, worse than ever before. And health encompasses so many things. You look at the infertility rates. For the first time as a country, we're not even keeping up with procreation, like actual, like having children with the natural die-off of the already existing people in this country. That is incredibly alarming. We've never experienced that before. The turbo cancers, SIDS, so many other things. And let's just continue this administration. This is unbelievable. Yeah, Albert Bourla should be tried for crimes against humanity. And no, this isn't 4D chess. You're never getting accountability from Trump's administration for the millions of injuries and deaths that were suffered, runaway inflation, and the violence of your God-given rights during COVID. Unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but yes, this administration, it is clear. Let's not be deceived. There's so many other things like you can't excuse with. We won't go through the list right now, but this is one of them. This is an industry, and no one else other than these drug companies such as Bayer, Pfizer, they have paid out to date the largest criminal settlements in history. And yet these are the industries that gain immunity, and this administration's doing nothing about that. I mean, it is completely unacceptable even what they're trying to do regarding the advertising on behalf of these companies. Why follow the one other country that's allowing it and try to force them to prolong? I mean, in one sense, you're forcing them to air all the adverse effects. In stating they won't have the financial, so they'll have to pay for it. But now you're teaming up with them, giving them $70 billion to further their mRNA poisonous bioweapons shots. You just now funded them to be able to have the prime time slots during the NFL or whatever major coliseum where most eyes and ears are present to push their poisons. It blows my mind. But it's so telling when you hear it for yourself, and when you really dissect whether this is good for health or bad for health, it's clear to the point we touched on before under deception. The truth is simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand this. This partnership is terrible. It is inexcusable.
I'm curious, where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come later?
They're all with us. And I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID.
Giving him praise.
Fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. You know, it's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them. And
I'm curious, where are the other companies?
Oh my gosh. I can't. I don't have words. For example, this is the company right here. Okay. That $70 billion to this criminal enterprise known as Pfizer. These are the released Pfizer documents with the thousands of side effects that they desperately tried to have sealed and hidden from you for 75 years. Intentionally left blank in their solution of warp speed in these bioweapon shots. Are you kidding? I have loved ones. We all have someone within our sphere or someone very near and dear to us that was a victim of this genocidal bioweaponist shot. That is, if we're willing to be honest with ourselves. Excuse me. Excuse me. But check this out. Thousands. We don't need this tunage. Just to go through this. Unbelievable. Yes. Exactly that. Poison. They withheld this. There was no informed consent. There's no informed consent on the murderous hospital protocols that are still being administered today. A lot of people are unaware. The ramp up of any deaths that ever happened during that scamdemic actually was the incentivized boxed protocol coming down from above, where all these nurses and doctors were just put in a box. This was your option. Anyone that spoke out on that got the boot or worse. But a lot of those protocols, incentivized protocols, such as remdesivir, are being administered to this day. You believe those patients are getting proper informed consent regarding the Ebola trial that killed more than 54%, and they had to immediately pull it because if they would have continued, it would have became 100%. That's just a poison. It's not helping anybody, yet it's still being administered, and people that don't know any better today, they are praying and utilizing through trust these systems of preying on people's desperate position they find themselves in. They're going into these institutions under help me. I'm not well. It's utterly disgusting. So on the health side of things, it's not looking good. I'm at a loss for words. This young man buttons up a lot of it in a way I'm too spooled up to do at the moment. So let's hear him out.
We were backstabbed by Albert Bourla and the Trump administration by inking this $70 million deal to expand the mRNA empire of the criminal enterprise Pfizer. Remember what Pfizer has done in the past? They've had to pay up to 107 instances for criminal penalties and other sorts of fraudulent activities, right? So they have a long track record of criminal activity, of lying to the public, of all sorts of terrible things. And so this is just a slap in the face to the entire Maha initiative. We do not want to see Albert Bourla in there shaking hands with President Trump.
Exactly.
We were expecting accountability. We have not seen any of that. Now it appears accountability is completely off of the table.
Right. Well said. So let's continue. Health not looking good. How are things looking regarding opportunity and wealth generation? Or we could reword that, generational wealth. Yeah, it's hard for me to even grasp. So most aren't going to even be able to grasp this very pie chart, what it actually represents, and the sheer devastation wrapped up with this. We could sit here and look at it and go through it if you want to go through it. I mean, everyone views things differently. Maybe the pie chart's better. I personally like the graph, so I'm going to move on because we have another one that will cover this a little better. But this post also speaks of it. The top 1% now owns more than 54 trillion in wealth. That's 468 times more than the bottom 50%. 468 times more in the 1% than the bottom 50%. And now it's pretty much a hierarchy entirely, even financially speaking. There's like an elite, and then there's us. The middle class is basically non-existent, and it will show in this next chart that we're going to go over. But he gives you an example. One man, Elon Musk, for example, owns more than the bottom half combined. Religion is excellent stuff for keeping common people quiet. Religion is what keeps the poor from murdering the rich. From Napoleon. Very interesting. This chart. Yes, what happened? Ask yourself, what happened to the middle class that historically always held the majority of the wealth in our country? Folks, it is utterly obliterated. You have this top 1%. You have this top 10%. And we're talking tens of millions and above for the 1%, and then just the millionaires on the 10%, and then the 50 to 90th percentile is that red line down here, right here. Where's the middle class? 10%, 1%, 50 to 90th percentile, and then the bottom half, of course. This is now clearly a rich man's world. The majority of the people are down here in our country. The hundreds of millions. The thousands. Less than 2,000 up here. I'm not quite sure the latest number here. But we're talking billionaire class up here. Yeah, it's under 2,000 last I checked. We can't even understand what we're up against here. It'd be a little different if there wasn't these evil groups doing all their weird worships, blood sacrifice, pedophile ring stuff. Like, it's dark. It gets dark. And you get, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. Let's stay on topic. But all I wanted to touch on there is they aren't a bit benevolent. Oh, I'm going to trip up even over that word. It'd be a little different if they in fact were godly, but they're not. And that creates, sound the alarm. We all know things like this. We're broke. We're feeling it. And it's intentionally being done so to demoralize us, have us so wrapped up that we can't become the solution ourselves. So reflecting back on the 7 points. But hear this out.
I found the one stat that proves that pretty much everybody in the United States is broke. The average car on the road right now is 14 and a half years old. That car is almost old enough to drive itself to the junkyard because that's where it fucking belongs. Right. This isn't some quirk where people want to drive their fucking 2010 Nissan Sentra forever. They have to drive that POS because a new car is 50 fucking grand. And whenever you add in sky-high interest rates, a lot of people can't afford it. I mean, who really can afford $1,000 car payment? So people are holding on. They are fixing what breaks, and they are planning to drive their cars until the wheels literally fall off because their budgets are tapped. For the average American, the dream of owning a new car is now like the dream of owning a home. It's fucking bad. Remember, this isn't normal. This is what happens when capitalism starts to fail. The country is broken.
It's not just capitalism, it's This evil cabal, not willing to abide by the very laws established. It's a hierarchy, and it's rules for thee and not for me. The vast majority aren't in that. In that class. And Ryan Matta here, at least in the beginning, does a pretty good job also from our end. I mean, Dinesh D'Souza really fires him up here, but at least capturing, it's hard to even gain any understanding as to the lifestyles they're now living, what they're tapping into versus what we're experiencing. It's hard to even grasp, but he at least gives a bit of a taste to that. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's not to be dismayed. To go walk through these things, folks, we've already provided the solution. I don't understand why on an individual level, we're essentially not becoming the solution we need. And if we stop with all their divisive tactics, and that's where this administration's no good. That's another example as to where it is no good. They want to divide us regarding a constructive ideology of a red versus blue. What team are you on? Oh, you're not on, then you're bad. Censor, shut down. It's not good. It's evil. That's evil. But we as a people hold all the cards collectively. If we could just get our stuff together and essentially stop paying the criminal. How is it? We've gone over Freedom Law School, so many other things, giving people calls to action. There's no better benefactor than them themselves, but yet they don't do the research and continuously pay the banking cabal what isn't theirs. It's voluntary. Freedom Law School provides the education for folks to understand that for 99% of Americans, and I'm not plugged to them, I'm not affiliated with them, but I've done enough research that I know. You look at the stories of the actual IRS agents that looked into what they in fact were doing, coming up with the laws to hold business owners accountable and liable to pay, and they couldn't. So when they went to their superiors, what happens to the individuals actually working for the IRS themselves? Instead of like giving them the receipts they needed to do their job effectively, they weeded them out. So they became freedom fighters, voicing to all of us their findings that there's nothing constitutional, legally binding regarding any of our federal income tax. Yet we all continuously voluntarily pay, not all of us. There's 80 million new individuals in this country that no longer pay. Where are all the mass arrests? Where are the seizures of their properties? It can't be done. Now there's an illusion that, it has been done. And the most powerful example that I see most people resorting to is the mafia bosses. It wasn't, there was going to be discrepancies in their filings. Full stop. But the problem for them was filing at all. Had they known what Freedom Law School is educating them and they not filed, then criminals doing criminal activity that they couldn't even get on the criminal activity, but they get them through tax evasion, right? They couldn't even have taken that action if they didn't file. It was the filing itself under penalty and perjury. When there's any discrepancy, when you're now not being truthful on legally binding documents, then yes, now you can face prison. Now you can lose assets. But in not filing and signing that, they have nothing. And if you're educated, they can cry wolf all they want. Not a single one of Freedom Law School students has reportedly been thrown in jail or any asset seized. How is this going in? It's constantly in one ear out the other. But why I'm trying to drive this particular point home is this could be a course of action that frees us from a very oppressive system in and of itself, and we get organized there, we can move the needle against the interest criminal cabal in the banking and the credit cards and home loans. We could bring them to the negotiation table, have things restructured to our benefit, where we're not paying 3-4 times the original lended amount by the end of that. In fact, we are giving them that power. We stop paying criminal income tax. We renegotiate that. Futuristically, we don't even need their dang banking system at all. We could provide the funding among ourselves to even assist family members and things like that to get in homes and own them essentially outright from the get-go. We are enabling them, kind of that situation with Adam and Eve. The devil couldn't force them. It coerced them to give their power away. We are giving our power away to this very corrupt infrastructure, and it's so well funded that it's literally like a movie playing before our eyes. They are able to manipulate us. There's a clip in here even regarding Charlie's death that, I kind of feel like even jumping to at this point just because of this rant, and I apologize. We'll get back on topic here in just a sec, but it's literally like the Truman Show playing out. They understand how to MK Ultra mass manipulate the majority of us. And they've been doing that for a very, very long time. It's only as of recent I see past the construct of red versus blue. And it makes me gag when I hear other people still falling for that constructed divisive thinking. And they lose humanity to the other side because they're just so radicalized. Of course, the left's going to continuously feel this way because this person just won't even hear them and shuts them down, starts calling them names and vice versa. And it's just a chaotic mess. And the ones in the background are just like clasping their hands and seeing the dollar signs running before them. And it's just continuing. Let's stop that and see past it. Let's hear what Ryan Matta has to say. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I want to play this video between Dinesh D'Souza and some dude I've never heard of. But so these are the type of people that live in their elite ivory towers. I just want to kind of set the stage there, right? Dinesh D'Souza, I don't really know where this guy came from. I kind of looked into his background a little bit. It seemed like he was an absolute nobody, came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden has made 6 documentaries, and he now has a membership at Mar-a-Lago. And if I'm not mistaken, just the membership alone at Mar-a-Lago, just for your club dues, is like $250,000. So these people live in a reality and live in a world that is so far above us low peasant trailer park trash pieces of shit. That's what they pretty much consider us. Like, you low IQ individuals, you guys are such trailer park trash that your opinion doesn't matter squat, right? To them, to these rich elite, like, once you hit a certain threshold of wealth, normal society doesn't matter to you. You can travel anywhere, you can buy.
We could just end it right there. We can't even fathom. They're not coming to our indoctrination camps that are provided to our children, keeping us slave-minded versus seeing a whole different picture. Once again, all the clips are down below. You can go through that, and I implore everyone, please don't take my word for it on any of this. It's important that we all do our research and our due diligence. So as far as our opportunities economically, not looking good. These are the basic fundamentals. We should be holding our supposed elected officials accountable daily when it's unsatisfactory. But let's be honest with ourselves. Are we holding them accountable daily? We can't even organize against them. We're too caught up with the smoke and the mirrors and the left versus right. At exhaustion, at nauseum, just you and you and you, and never really addressing the conversation in the direction that matters. We must get wise. We must get more organized. And I'm telling you, very simple calls to action. Cleaning up some of the health side of things is important too. Maintaining our speech, very crucial. But just the basic steps, for frick's sakes. How many times we got to go back to our founding fathers? And it's not just our founding fathers, but the ones that fled true oppression and tyranny understood oppression and tyranny. They revolted against a 2% T-tax. 2% T-tax. We are voluntarily paying over half of our paychecks to a cabal when it's unconstitutional. We're indoctrinated. We're not even willing to challenge that. I'm a good American. I pay my taxes and everything. Really, you're going to hang on to that to your grave. Your own demise is you're paying them as they're poisoning you and your freaking children. We must face these very hard truths, these very hard even fictions that we packed into core values that have fractures in them. They're not full truths in order to even become the solution we need. But let's continue. What is happening to our freedoms? Let's take a look. Let's hear Tucker. Love this man.
The prime minister of Israel goes on television to openly meddle in internal American politics, taking sides, attacking people, Americans, because they're not fully on board with sending billions more to a country of 9 million people.
He talked about the woke right. And he said,
so
I call
disgusting.
it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke
disgusting.
Reich, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left of it. They're insane. They're We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers.
If you haven't heard the episode about this man being a terrorist and what he talks about, if you're unpurchasable in America, in our country, a foreign leader on American soil in New York just the other week, he stated all these things. But if they're not purchasable, that in fact they'll utilize the new age weapons and drones and things like that, and not to videotape you because he referenced swords and militias are no good, that we got to use these new tactics. A sword, the only way a sword's effective is what? Blood and death. So yes, terrorist activities, the ones that actively used pagers. We also tied in, new footage regarding Charlie's death, and there was smoke that breached his collar. It more so to me looks as though his lapel mic was also devised as an explosive. Now, we don't know the facts. All I do know is that our FBI is fulfilling just that. They're lying. And the root of lies is coming from who? These organizations, I mean, they'd have so many admissions and apologies. Like, at what point do we let's just rebuild something more so we as a people can hold accountable to being good stewards with the power, the money, the everything we allot them to essentially provide more levels of protection for we the people. These institutions and three-letter agencies haven't answered to anybody for far too long. And a lot of people in these power positions some of the whistleblowers even state the CIA no longer answers to the president. The president answers to the CIA. That's how powerful these institutions have become. We're to abolish them all. He also talks about, and we'll get into it, the number one most important thing is buying out TikTok, which it seems they've been successful in doing, and then speak to Elon Musk, which seems, and we'll cover some of the information that's already happening, things that are already happening on X that are not free speech.
And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok, number one. And the other one, X. You know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. We have to fight the fight.
Anyone who opposes me in the United States, who opposes more aid to Israel or opposes getting sucked into war with Iran, which does not serve American interests, that person is not simply mistaken or wrong. I'm not going to bother to explain why that person is wrong. That person is a Nazi, part of the woke Reich, a Nazi. And the only way to fix it is by preventing Americans in the last country on earth with guaranteed freedom of speech, prevent Americans from hearing the other side. Wow. And so we push Congress to force a TikTok sale, which is true, by the way. And when that happened, and various members of Congress were like, no, really, it's about China. There were people online who said, no, I think it's really about Israel. Here he is just admitting, no, we pushed the U.S. Congress to censor in the United States, to commit censorship in the United States because we think it's bad for us. And we need to talk to Elon. That's the point at which you just say no.
We're not saying that as a people. You could go look on active live streams on Rumble, active live streams on YouTube right now, and there are 14-year-olds playing a silly game that have 70, 100,000 that people actively watching them play the game. That it blows my mind. Why would these other people be watching them play the game when they could be playing the game themselves? Like, what is that? We are drawn to meaningless, mindless, intentionally mind-numbing entertainment versus what it takes to actually see a difference in securing our future, our freedoms, our God-given gifts. I don't get it. We are facing suppression, censorship, to not even have equal opportunity to getting even these messages out there. Now, I'm grateful for platforms such as Rumble and a lot of the podcast apps, because it seems as though this content after the fact is still accessible. So that does leave room for organic growth. And with organic growth, improvement. Better speakers, better sourcing of information, cleaner clips, breaking things up. But as a one-man band and as many people are trying to no avail, because people are just more so... And even sharing that clip with Netanyahu, these individuals are literally painting a target on their back for an active terrorist threatening their lives. This is clearly messages on all our behalves to maintain the freedoms and even have a chance at a possible better, brighter future for ourselves. And it's not gaining traction. I'm sick about it. We're not sharing this. We're not doing our part. 100%. But I digress. Yeah, I'm livid. I'm upset. I'm grateful for a lot of the warriors out there that seemingly are unpurchasable. A lot of them, Alex Jones, InfoWars, things of that nature, entirely bought out. Just shills for Israel. To no extent. Just trying to create more noise. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, freaking Dan Bongino. Unbelievably gross. I can't. You can run under the label of deception and being a do-gooder all you want. We see who you've sold your soul to, and they've allotted you very powerful positions. Uncensored AI now on X is gone. This platform is no longer a space for our voices, and soon it won't even be a place to learn. The algorithms silence us because money and power demand control of narratives. So yeah, this uncensored AI, which was gaining vast levels of momentum, gone. And just after Netanyahu says it's crucial, emphasizing Elon is not their enemy and a friend and we should talk to him, yeah, it's not looking good. Thousands of people have been impacted by this. Unbelievable. Let's just continue with this other. I feel like going on a rant page, not just a rant. I'm going to kind of withhold my sharp tongue.
There is no chosen people. The chosen people are people who choose Jesus. That is the Christian message right there. It's not an anti-Semitic message, by the way. It's the Christian message. It's the core Christian message. And yet there are many self-described representatives of the Christian faith who are daily sending a different message. And we should be very clear. Whatever this is, it's not Christianity. It is heresy. And among the many examples we could pick, we're going to go with Lindsey Graham.
A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
God will kill you if you don't support Bibi Netanyahu. That's what he's saying. He will pull the plug on you like a quadriplegic in intensive care. You're going to flatline unless you support the secular abortion-on-demand government of Israel. That's the Christian perspective, really. That God loves some people more because of their DNA, that is not the Christian message. That's the opposite of the Christian message. The Christian message is universal. That's the whole point of it. The chosen people in Christianity are those who choose Jesus. The entire New Testament is that story. And anyone who says otherwise has not read it or is lying. There is no...
Has not read it, so ignorance, or is lying. Where do lies come from? It's all this chaos. It's tying into this control. It's all tying into like Revelation 2 verse 9. And Jesus warns us of the synagogue of Satan, warns us of our oppressors. And this clip here, my gosh, I was utterly disgusted. This was vile, pure evil, watching Trump salivating over this land grab in Gaza. Don't take my word for it. Listen to it for yourself. What does this say to you and how they're achieving it? As the first live stream genocide in human history continues of the loss of innocent men, women, and children. This is utterly demonic and downright inexcusable.
During the 1980s, Benjamin Netanyahu became good friends with American real estate developers Charles Kushner and Fred Trump. Kushner's son, Jared, went on to marry Fred's granddaughter, Ivanka Trump. Jared has been talking about the valuable real estate in Gaza for a few years.
In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable.
In May of 2024, the Jerusalem Post publishes an image of Netanyahu's Gaza 2035 vision. In October of 2024, candidate Trump said that Gaza could be better than Monaco.
It could be better than Monaco. It has the best location in the Middle East, the best water, the best everything. It is the best. I've said it for years. I mean, it could be the most beautiful place, the weather, the water, the whole thing, the climate. It could be.
So make a deal with the people that possess the land. You can't force them out of there. You definitely, you just want to bury them there. Wow. How our country is supporting this, or the man all the way at the top. I don't get it.
So beautiful.
On his inauguration day, President Trump began discussing Gaza in terms of valuable real estate.
You know, Gaza's interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but that's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead.
On February 4th, He referred to Gaza as the Riviera of the Middle East.
Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent. I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so this could be so magnificent.
On February 26th, Trump posted a bizarre AI video of Trump Gaza.
Guys, he posted this at Real Donald Trump. How are the Christians not even seeing this? False idol worship. Whether you're even anti what's taking place there, but you're pro-Trump in this fake administration, I'm sorry, you're supporting the very synagogue of Satan. And through deception, they've won over your hearts under the illusion of choice, as though it was Kamala or Biden or Hillary or Obama or Trump, any. They're all serving the synagogue of Satan.
On April 7th, Trump describes Gaza as incredible oceanfront property.
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in, but, you know, having a peace force like the United States there, controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing.
On July 14th, Trump referred to Israel's 2005 removal of its ground troops and settlements from the Gaza Strip as one of the worst real estate deals ever made.
I call it the Gaza Strip one of the worst real estate deals ever made. They gave up the oceanfront property, one of the worst deals ever made.
On September 17th, Israeli Finance Minister Smotrich claimed the deal to rebuild Gaza was on Trump's desk and described it as a real estate bonanza.
There is a business plan built by the most professional people, which is on President Trump's desk. How this thing turns into a real estate bonanza, I'm not joking, it pays for itself. By the way, I started negotiations with the Americans, and I'm saying this seriously now because I'm also demanding. After all, we paid a lot of money for this war, so we need to share. How do we make percentages on land marketing later in Gaza?
They've paid a lot of money for this war. I am sick and tired of hearing the excuses about October 7th by people that supposedly have done research. It's like, if you're regurgitating that and not asking the questions like Charlie and from others that have visited there and stated themselves, there's no way these goat herders on hang gliders could have evoked any of the damage they did at all without Israel's permission. They had to literally stand down, withdraw, and for over 8 hours before a response. And you actually look at the evidence and you see the majority of the carnage and loss of life to Israelis was actually caused by the Israeli military itself. How else were they going to be able to commit the war crimes and atrocities without enraging the world against them without October 7th? How are they going to achieve the greater Israel? Why have people not asked these questions for themselves? I do not believe Charlie's death has anything to do with a left-leaning loon. In simply asking these questions with the influence he had, and it wasn't just questioning October 7th, it was calling Netanyahu a bully. It was turning down $150 million. That alone. But talking about the over misrepresentation of a foreign people and the impact of AIPAC and so many other things, unregistered foreign lobbyist groups that clearly have had a tremendous impact on not just our elections, but everyone serving on the current U.S. Senate and Congress. The truth is simple. It's more complicated to continuously excuse these evil people and their evil deeds.
But now, no, not joking. The demolition phase, which is always the first phase in urban renewal, we did. Now we need to build.
Trump has chosen war criminal Tony Blair to oversee the rebuilding of Gaza. And on September 24th, the Central Synagogue in Manhattan explained how the gods demand human blood for humanity to survive.
The greatest lie humanity tells its...
That's enough. I can't hear this crap. It just disgusts me at my core. For frick's sakes, folks, let's not fall for the deception. Before this election, we'll release the Epstein files day one after the election. They protect the pedophiles before the election. We'll end wars after the election. They fund genocide and are actively potentially kicking off many world wars. There's even new ones to report on. I digress. We'll get so off topic. Before the election, we'll go after the COVID crimes. After the election, they hand $70 billion to Pfizer. Yes, I agree, Dr. Simon. I cannot stomach it anymore. This administration is beyond a disgrace. It's actually serving the synagogue of Satan itself. This kind of helps button it up.
No, because Israel's controlling our government. So no, the answer is no. Trump is powerless against him. We haven't had, I don't think we've been a sovereign nation since they shot JFK. And when I say they, it's like people online say, what do you mean by they? I'm talking about Israel. I don't want you guys to read in between. I'm talking about Israel. So let's stop making that a taboo subject because they've gone mask down. Everything they're doing is demonic. I want nothing to do with it. I will never support Israel into the future after what they've done to these children. The starvation campaign. I don't care. Please write your article. You've already written them all. I don't know what you could add about me. But I do not support Israel. And I don't think that Jewish Americans should support Israel. And I hope that they're now having those conversations. I see many of them recognizing that they have been propagandized into believing they have to support this demonic state. And that's in large part thanks to their birthright trip. Yeah, that mask down moment for Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL when he got caught on the hot mic, it was released. He didn't know that he was being recorded. And he's like, saying that they've got to get TikTok under control. He's like, we have a generational issue with TikTok. We need to do something about this, like what we did with Birthright. What does that tell you? That the entire purpose of that Birthright trip, telling every Jewish American, you forget a free trip to Israel, was to propagandize you into believing that you have some affinity with this made up country in the Middle East, like in 1948, that you have to, react when something's happening to them, or you have to look away when they're doing things that are so obviously wrong and demonic. And so I'm hoping now that we're getting to that point where people can recognize that whether you're black, you don't have to agree with BLM. Whether you're allowing your identity to shape your morality is problematic.
Is extremely problematic. Wow. Well said, Candace. Yes, it is entirely a made-up Israel. In 1948, by none other than the slave masters known as West Central bankers and families known as the Rothschilds, which also formerly their own mothers stated, if my sons wanted no wars, world wars, there would be none. And we're not. Why? Why are we giving over our power to these evil entities? We hold all the cards collectively as a people. There is nowhere they could run. There's nowhere. In fact, we don't even have to chase them. We just stop paying anything BlackRock owned, Vanguard, State Street, stop world wars, show love to other countries, will defuse, de-radicalize these terrorist groups that none other than ourselves emboldening our governments are playing through the elite's game to create in the first place. They wouldn't even exist. We could coexist and share our wealth among countries and a people, but the clear control over the governments are in this day and age from none other than demonic entities themselves. They only teach us what they want us to know for control over us. This is a great little clip here.
Jewish communities have been pushing.
Ooh, I forgot Charlie Kirk's voice was duped over this, but to read. The subtitle's hard to see in this, but it's stating, because they can't put this on TikTok, it'd be taken right down. Why this control over our minds? Well, because this truth gets out there. All these narratives, this victimality to boast up weaponized words such as anti-Semitism that wouldn't exist. So it's how they're MK Ultra controlling our minds in these fictional beliefs. Facts. 60 million Christians, 60 million were genocided in the Bolshevik Revolution. 680,000 Palestinians are now dead in a span of 2 years. 380,000 of them are children under the age of 5. But why did they teach us about the Holocaust? They only teach us what they want us to know to control.
Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true, the Anti-Defamation League, Jewish communities...
and they had no reason to go after Charlie. Now this clip, there's a lot of snips in this I don't believe. They're reaching for the stars, truly. However, bear with me. You do not have to agree with all the little snips of info here. And that's just it. You should not simply believe everything you hear, damn it. But the overall point made here is spot on. And it is our choice to continue to believe in a lie and stay ignorant, or set ourselves free by seeking knowledge, by seeking the truth. Fact is, history has already shown us where both of these paths lead. And there's only one clear answer that leads us to a life of meaning and purpose.
So let me get this straight. Charlie Kirk had no coroner's report, no church funeral, no burial site or grave, no official death certificate. Why has no official autopsy been conducted, nor any findings released? No ballistics report. Not a single eyewitness on the record, and an award-winning widow already taking over his show. Why was the entire crime scene destroyed within hours, erasing vital evidence? They tore down everything, including the Dairy Queen. Why were there no paramedics on the scene? Why was Charlie Kirk's body removed and illegally flown out on Air Force Two? Why did Donald Trump pardon a Navy SEAL killer whose shadow looms over this case? Why was the stadium mysteriously booked by Turning Point 4 months before his death? How was a massive high-tech stadium memorial produced in only 11 days? Why do multiple women publicly appear as Erica Kirk, raising questions of identity? Why are there no birth certificates for their children? No names revealed, no faces ever shown? Where is a video of Charlie playing with his kids at a birthday party, or picnic, or any other family setting? Why do
I don't know about all this.
Symbols surround this tragedy with chilling precision? Interesting that the gun was found on property owned by Palantir. Isn't it interesting Kash Patel fired many of the heads of the FBI in that area days before the shooting? Do you find it interesting that Charlie sold his house 8 months ago for $5 million? If the father of your 2 young children was just brutally murdered for the world to see days ago, do you leave them home with a nanny while you go on podcasts grinning from ear to ear? Is it not curious that a 17-year-old first-time Donald Trump beauty pageant contestant won, and now Trump appointed a top attorney general woman who has no experience, who is also in his beauty pageant? This is only a fraction of the clues and evidence on this psyop.
It's barely a
brave enough
fraction.
to look at the evidence while removing the preconceived
Barely a
notions,
fraction.
The conclusion
It's about to get
is
good, though.
undeniable.
All right, quiet on the set. Roll sound.
Green can. Why Kirk can eat. I don't know. Fade up music.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I know that's a bit vulgar, it's a bit much. But my goodness, folks, so much of what is taking place is a script. How is it different than The Truman Show or The Matrix and so many of these other examples we have? Why are we falling prey to that? At the end of the day, it's our choice. Okay, why is that not pulling up? Bear with me. Pull this back up because my face is still quite swollen. I'm dealing with these boils. However, I'm not going to let it stop me from showing up. I'm here. Can't let the little little hiccups stop us from doing what we can each and every day. When we see past all the deception, the truth is not complex at all. In fact, it seems so clear, more so than ever before. We as a whole have not been very good stewards with all the gifts God has given us. With all the direction given to us in the very Holy Bible itself, most churches, most pastors in this country seem to be failing all of us, not daring to really speak out on the bigger picture of the spiritual war that's taking place, emboldening true warriors for the gifts, the God gifts, to fully even present themselves. As a whole, we have clearly become lulled into seeking only comfort, becoming completely distracted, to trust in some plan, seeking immediate gratification, not willing to test ourselves at all in any way. There's some biblical references I'd like to challenge us to check out. Let's start with courage. We need it more than ever before. And not just, it's irrelevant whether we right the ship in the life and there's a true revival, but for our own salvation, it means everything. Under courage, there's Psalm 112:8. God gives us victory. There's John 16:33. Jesus' strength gives us courage. There's Acts 4:31. Courage helps us boldly represent Christ. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Christians should be courageous. Ephesians 6:19 through 20. Pray for courage. We have Hebrews 4:16. Christians can pray to God with confidence. Please check out those scriptures. Ask God what they mean for you in this moment in time. He'll answer that. He'll give those promptings and impressions on your heart. And it's important that we gain that. Let's go to the flip side. We got courage and then we got fear. Fear. God will protect us. Genesis 15:1. There's Genesis 46:3. God will not forget us. What a comforting message. What's there to fear? We're not to fear the devil, evil. Christ denied the devil his offering of this world and conquered death, giving us the evidence, the proof as to what really matters in this existence. Why are we fearful? Why would one of you potentially be fearful on even sharing this? Oh, because I touched on Israel and you know how that family feels about Israel, but it's not biblical Israel. It was recently in modern time reestablished by very evil people at the cost of 750,000 lives. People were planted there. I digress. The only healthy fear there is touches on Psalm 25:12 touches on it. We should fear God. We have Psalm 27:1. Christians do not need to fear anyone. Psalm 46:1 through 3. God strengthens us. Psalm 91:5. We do not need to fear darkness or violence. Psalm 112:7. We do not need to fear bad news. 1 John 4:18. Love drives away fear. It actually was, I don't know why I changed words up. It actually reads, love drives fear away. But I hope those are encouraging and emboldening and strengthening reads for you. Remember, we will reap what we sow. And no, I do not believe that this just applies to us individually, but this applies 100% absolutely to our nation as a whole. And you don't have to believe me, just read the Holy Bible. Plenty of examples there. I know a lot of my messages can come across as tough love, but it is simply far past time to end all the needless suffering across the whole map. Yes, for you and our loved ones. Caused mostly, if we're being honest, from us, from cowardice and this unwillingness from the masses to face directly the evil that is right in front of us, our own oppressors. Evil has been here this whole time. It is not going anywhere until Jesus returns. So we have a duty. We have a calling. We owe it to God, country, our children to get involved today. And until we all stomp out this evil, there literally are no excuses or exceptions to make. Thank you for all your support. Help us gain more momentum. We're not gaining enough. We're just not. Frankly, I am frantically looking to put my energy and effort elsewhere. I just don't know where it could be applied and magnified any greater than here. But here, with the suppressive tools, with exponentially going downhill, TikTok going downhill more suppression over our own leaders, it's only going to get harder. And we're just not organically gaining. So I hope I can find somewhere else to be more effective. But I just see that evil, this is the most impactful tool it's been utilizing. And it's using its money and its influence through very evil tactics. It's gaining a vaster stronghold, and we're not responding in kind. So, the simplest action, if you feel so called to help in any momentum here, is to click that like button, to share it, to follow and subscribe on Muzzle Chat on all the different platforms. The links are listed in the description below. Check out our affiliations and consider a donation so I can continue this work. It is abruptly coming to an end. Unless there's a shift here. That's just the truth. Until next time, though, with much love, God bless and take care.